Donner Hush Guitars. Which one is right for you? I've decided to do this video because I've seen comments and questions where people have asked which of the Donner Hush guitars is the best one for them. And it's a perfectly valid question really, because looking at them, they really do look very similar. However, they're very different. And I've also seen criticisms made of the guitar by people who have just bought the wrong thing because they didn't understand what they were buying. In this video, I'm not going to be looking at the guitars in detail, looking at the quality, playability and sound. I'm just looking at the overall design of the guitar and what it was built for. If you want a more detailed video about any of one of the guitars, I've done a detailed review of them all but one. So I'll put the links down below in the description to those reviews. The only one of the Hush range I haven't done a review of is the Donner Hush X Pro, which I haven't got one to test out, but I'll do that eventually. When I started thinking about how I was going to make this video, the first thing that came to mind was to group the guitars. But even this wasn't straightforward, as I ended up with 3 groups. But we'll take a look at those 3 groups anyway, cause they are relevant. The first grouping is the acoustic guitars and the electric guitars. But I obviously have to explain this, because really they're all electric guitars. However, certain of the guitars are specifically designed to sound like acoustic guitars, and they are the Hush I, the Hush I Pro and the Hush C. A clue to the ones that are designed to sound like acoustic guitars is the fact that they don't have a visible pickup, and that's because they use piezo pickups which are hidden underneath the saddle and work in a completely different way to the kind of pickups you get on an electric guitar. Because these pickups work off compression rather than electromagnetic induction, they produce a sound which is far more faithful to the sound of the guitar. However, the signal a piezo pickup produces is far weaker than the signal produced by an electromagnetic pickup, which you get on an electric guitar. So, firstly, the signal needs to be amplified slightly before you can use it, and secondly, the sound is far clearer and more like the sound of an acoustic guitar. Piezo pickups will also work with nylon guitar strings, whereas electromagnetic pickups won't, because they rely on the steel in the strings to produce the sound. These 3 Hush guitars then, I'm calling them acoustic guitars, even though they're not true acoustics, because a true acoustic guitar should be able to produce sound without electronics and without an amplifier. But these guitars are designed to have the same feel and sound as an acoustic guitar. Now, even though I'm lumping these 3 guitars together and calling them acoustic guitars, they're still very different from one another. The Hush I Pro has its own sound processor built into it, so you can change the sound of the guitar substantially from within the guitar. However, you pay for this, as it's the most expensive of the 3 guitars. But I do need to emphasize again that this is an acoustic guitar, and all the sound effects built into the guitar will still make it sound like an acoustic guitar. If you want a guitar to sound like an electric guitar, then you have to buy one of the Hush X guitars. The guitar next to it is the Hush I, or as I used to call it, the Hush 1. And this was the first of the Hush range, and it produces a really nice acoustic sound. And it has the advantage of being the cheapest guitar in the Hush range. However, it has the disadvantage of not having the upgraded rests. I'll explain this later in the video. The final guitar of these three is the Hush C, which also sounds like an acoustic guitar, but this time it's nylon strung, which means it sounds like a classical guitar. So if you're looking for the sound of a classical guitar, or if you like the feel of a classical guitar, this is the guitar you should choose. All three of these guitars I've done detailed reviews of, so if you want more details on any of them, just look down below in the description for the links. The next group here are the electric guitars, and there's just two of these at the moment, and these are the X range, the Hush X and the Hush X Pro. The Hush X is everything you'd expect from an electric guitar. With the right use of effects and amplifier, you can get everything from a clean jazz sound right the way through to screaming lead or a grunge sound. And it can take a battery for a preamp, but it doesn't need one. So if you don't use the preamp, you can take the battery out. However, obviously you'll need the battery if you want to use the headphones. Again, I've done a detailed review of the Hush X, so if you'd like to see that, the link is down below in the description. The second of the electric guitars is the Hush X Pro, which is another true electric guitar. So you can play anything from clean jazz to dirty heavy metal, and it's got its own special effects built into it. This is the only guitar of the Donner Hush range I haven't reviewed. So if you want more information about this guitar, you'll have to head on over to the Donner website. I'll put the link along with all the other links down below in the description. The next grouping I did just isolated one guitar, and that's the Donner Hush I. And that's because this was the original Hush guitar, and it's got a different style rest before they updated the rests. On the later guitars, I think they improved the rests, because on the earlier models you had to fit the rests using an Allen key and an Allen bolt, and this can be a bit of a faff, especially if you're packing the guitar away regularly. Now, they have done things to make this method easier. For example, they've built an Allen key into the guitar itself, so you've always got one with you. However, the rest system on the later guitars is far more refined and a lot easier to use. Is this important? For some people, yes. For others, no. If you're travelling or constantly putting the guitar back in its case and taking it out again, then this might become a little fidgety and a little annoying. However, if you're leaving the guitar set up and you're just using it because you like the shape and the fact that it's easy to store in your house, then this wouldn't affect you at all. The later rest system is really nice and really easy to use, and the fact that you don't need any tools makes life a lot easier. So if you're thinking of taking your guitar out and putting it away every day, or travelling a lot, then I'd recommend you looking at the Hush guitars with the later rest system. Right, the final of the three ways I decided to group the guitars was into the regular guitars and the smart guitars. The smart guitars being the Pro range. Though I'm not 100% sure smart is the right word. What I really mean is they've got their own built-in processors, so they've got sound effects built into them. And at the time I made this video, there's two guitars in the Pro range. The Donner Hush I Pro and the Donner Hush X Pro. And if you're thinking of buying one of the Pro range, but aren't sure which one to buy, the main deciding factor is whether you want an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar. The Hush I Pro is designed to sound like an acoustic guitar, so all the effects built into it are geared towards acoustic guitars, whereas the Hush X Pro is designed to sound like an electric guitar, so all the sound effects built into it are geared towards making the guitar sound like an electric guitar. If you're considering buying a Hush guitar and you're not sure whether to go for one of the Hush Pros, the things to balance are, if you really want the special effects, take a look at the price of a separate effects unit and consider this, plus the fact that the effects built into the guitar are so much more convenient. However, if you think you're going to be fussy or change effects regularly, you're probably better with external effects and getting one of the regular Hush guitars. So, to summarise this entire video down into a couple of sentences, when you're choosing a Hush guitar, you want to decide, do you want an acoustic guitar or an electric guitar? Do you want the old style rests or the new style rests? Do you want the smart guitar with the effects in, or do you want a standard guitar so you can use separate effects? Once you can answer all of these questions, choosing a guitar should be quite straightforward. Something I better mention, but it's common sense really, and that's that the colours of guitars I've shown in this video are just the colours of the guitars I reviewed, so I've got film footage and photographs of those. On the Donner website you can buy most of the guitars in most of the colours, so once you've decided which guitar you want, you can then select which colour you want. And that's it for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I hope someone out there found it useful. And if you did, it'd be nice to know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, please like it. And if you'd like to see more like this video, please like, subscribe and hit the bell icon. And then you'll be notified when I upload new videos. If you're just learning to play guitar and you'd like some free lessons, take a look at my YouTube channel and especially the playlists, cause there's lots of guitar courses there. And you'll need the PDFs with the tab in to follow the courses, and you can get them free at www.ebooksforguitar.com. And as usual, I've got to give a special thanks to my channel members. Without the channel members, none of these videos could be made. Thank you very much again for watching, and until next time, take care.